All right, let's get right into it because this is a big one. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, well, it feels like it's at a tipping point, right? And there's this massive rumor making the rounds that could signal a huge change in how they do things. We're talking about bringing in a major star from one of the biggest TV shows, maybe ever, to potentially save the day. And that really begs the question, a huge question. Can one person, one single actor, really change the entire fate of a franchise this massive? That's an unbelievable amount of weight to put on someone's shoulders. And believe me, it has the entire fandom talking. So, the star at the center of this whole firestorm is Sadie Sink, who you almost certainly know from Stranger Things. Now, the reports aren't just saying she's getting a small part. We're talking a massive franchise-level role, appearing in multiple movies, including the next big Avengers flick. So you have to ask, why her, and why right now? To really get the why, you gotta look at what came before. Because this whole potential pivot, it seems to be a direct reaction to a previous Marvel strategy that, well, didn't exactly land the way they wanted it to. Let's talk about the Young Avengers problem. See, after Endgame, the big idea was to pass the torch. Makes sense, right? They were going to introduce this whole new lineup of younger heroes, a next-gen Avengers team to carry the MCU into the future. But the general feeling, and the numbers seem to back it up, is that the whole plan kind of struggled to connect with people. And this was the team they were building. We got Kate Bishop in Hawkeye, Riri Williams in Wakanda Forever, America Chavez and Doctor Strange, and of course, Miss Marvel on Disney+. All of these characters were supposed to be the new foundation, but that massive wave of excitement that Marvel was banking on, it just never really showed up. And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? The plan looked great on paper, but for one reason or another, as one source put it pretty bluntly, this new group of heroes just didn't take off. And that seems to have sent Marvel straight back to the drawing board. So here we are. With that Young Avengers plan seemingly stalled, this idea of casting Sadie Sink has just exploded into this huge debate online. Is bringing her in a brilliant, genius-level correction, or is it just a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem? And the arguments really fall into two main camps. On one side, you have people saying this is exactly what Marvel needs. It's a way to bring back that younger audience by using a super recognizable face from a show they love. Plus, a lot of fans are seeing it as a proper casting for a redhead character, which has been a whole thing online. But then, on the other side, the critics are saying, whoa, hold on. They argue the MCU's issues are way too deep for one actress to fix. They're questioning if Stranger Things is even that relevant anymore, and if Sadie Sink really has that megastar power to get the whole Marvel machine running smoothly again. The optimists, the ones who are team Sadie, they really believe she's more than just an actor from a popular show. They see her as a legitimate rising star, a movie star in the making who has the charisma and the talent to actually pull this off and get people excited again. But then you get the flip side of that coin, which is a lot more skeptical. This viewpoint basically says, look, Sadie Sink is great, she's talented, she's charming, but the problem is facing the MCU, things like messy stories and just general superhero fatigue, they run deep. And bringing back that must-see relevancy is going to take a lot more than just one buzzy new cast member. And a huge piece of this entire debate really boils down to one specific thing: her connection to Stranger Things. The actual value of that connection is being picked apart from every possible angle. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is being a star on Stranger Things today the same golden ticket it was, say, 5 years ago? Or has that long wait between seasons kind of cooled off the hype? Marvel's clearly betting that the magic is still there, but a lot of people are not so sure. And this is probably the most brutal take you'll hear. It's a pretty wild statement, but it suggests the public has just moved on. The argument is that the buzz is gone, the kids have grown up, and the show's time as a cultural phenomenon is basically over, which would make it a much less valuable well for Marvel to draw from. The counter to that, though, the more strategic way of looking at it, is that a show doesn't have to be the #1 trending topic every single day to be powerful. Stranger Things is still a gigantic global hit on Netflix with a massive, dedicated young audience, which is the exact group of people Marvel is reportedly losing. So from this view, it's not about fleeting buzz, it's about a direct pipeline to an audience. So when you just kind of zoom out from all of this, you start to see that this rumor is about way more than just one actress or one TV show. It might actually represent a massive shift in how Marvel sees its own future and how it plans to stay on top for another decade.
This all comes down to a really tough challenge in the entertainment world called generational transfer. It's one of the hardest things to pull off. How do you make the kids who grew up watching their parents' heroes feel that same passion and excitement for the new ones? And ever since Endgame, you could argue that's been Marvel's single biggest hurdle.
So if you map it out, the potential strategy here becomes crystal clear. First, you admit your original plan to build new heroes from the ground up just didn't work. Okay. Step 2, you pivot. You look outside your own universe. Step 3, you find a star who can be a bridge to that audience you lost. And finally, step 4, you anchor a huge new part of your universe to that person, and you pray their fanbase comes along for the ride.
So really, when we talk about Sadie Sink, we're not just talking about Sadie Sink. This whole thing has become a symbol for a much bigger conversation. It's about a fundamental choice Marvel has to make as it figures out this new era. Do you build your own stars from scratch like you used to, or do you import them from other successful universes? The answer is going to define everything that comes next.
And that's what it all comes down to. Is going after a star like Sadie Sink a brilliant strategic masterstroke to solve their generational problem? Or is it a Hail Mary, a sign of desperation that maybe, just maybe, the studio doesn't think it can create that kind of magic all on its own anymore? The answer to that question could very well decide the fate of the entire MCU.